So thanks everybody for joining this workshop. I think this is workshop number 10. We do this every week. Every second week it's online. Every second week it's based in Paris in Station F. Station F is one of the biggest incubators in Europe. There's about 1,000 startups currently hosted, resident at Station F with about 3,000 people. And FlexUp, we joined Station F as a startup a few weeks ago. And we're also there to help the other startups that are part of that incubator. So the purpose of this workshop is to basically allow different entrepreneurs or investors or people who work with startups to exchange ideas, maybe share some of the challenges they face, see perspectives from the point of view of other entrepreneurs, but also for FlexUp to say a few words about what we do and how we can help businesses and entrepreneurs. But it's designed to be like an interactive session. It's not just me doing a presentation. I will do a very short presentation so that you get, the high level understanding of what FlexUp can do. But then I want to discuss like specific case studies, specifically your specific businesses and situations, so that we can kind of get our hands dirty and think about and brainstorm about possible solutions. So if at any time you want to say something or ask a question, feel free. If you want me to stop the recording, also just raise your hand and I will do so. Is that okay? Great, thank you. So I will do now. I will share a short presentation. Let me know if you can see this. So. Yep. What is FlexUp? So FlexUp is an integrated platform to help you structure, launch, and grow your business. That can mean anything, right? So it's very hard to say it in one line because FlexUp is many things. But what I can tell you is from my own experience, this is the fourth startup that I created and managed. Two of them beforehand went bankrupt, unfortunately. One of them was in Africa, the other one was in the Netherlands. And to a large extent, the challenges I faced and the failures of these two companies was linked either to the complexity of creating deals for all the stakeholders, like a shareholder agreement, employee equity remuneration plan, and then partnership agreement. So any one of these deals that you negotiate and you try to create in order to structure your business, they take a huge amount of time to negotiate. Sometimes the negotiation can be difficult, that leads to friction. And then once you have it, the deal might be very complex and it might create structural conflicts of interest. So if different interest groups have different financial interests, that may lead to friction down the road. So after one of my companies went bankrupt, I said, okay, I need to find a new way of doing business to help other people avoid all the pitfalls and all the challenges that I faced. And the starting point was to build a new economic model. So I'm basically FlexUp. We designed a system to share the risk and the profits of a business in a way that's very simple and that works for all stakeholders, so that all the investors, all the employees, the founders, all the key strategic partners, whether it's your suppliers or your clients, they can all, share the risk with you and share the profits in a way that is simple, transparent, very easy to implement, and it's equitable and fair. And this, in my mind, is the main way to ensure that people collaborate, right? Business fail very often because people cannot work together effectively, either because they have conflicts or because there's a lot of friction and inefficiency in the system. So that was kind of my first inspiration, is I want to create a completely new way of sharing the risk and the profits of a business. And basically the key here is that we have a single remuneration system that applies to everyone. and the profits are shared on the basis of the contribution and the risk that everybody brings to the table, right? Now, the second element is a legal framework. We need to have a proper legal framework to make this new economic model work. But also, generally speaking, a lot of business, they operate without any legal framework, which is the case in a lot of developing countries where the informal economy is substantial. Now, if you don't have a proper legal framework, that means you don't have legal security. And if you don't have legal security, it's very hard to raise funds or to create strong business relationship with your partners because there's no legal basis. I mean, anybody can just walk away at any time. So having a strong legal framework is necessary, but it can be extremely costly and time-consuming to set it up. So that's why in FlexUp, we've developed, I would say, a coherent, integrated legal framework where for all of your business transactions, we have a default legal contract template that you can use. You can fine-tune it, you can adapt it to your needs, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So now when you're creating a business relationship with someone, you don't need to talk about the small print. You can talk about the core business issues. What are you going to produce? What are you going to deliver? How much you're going to be paid? And then how you want to be paid. You want to be paid in cash or in equity? And we're going to come back to that later. So this is all about providing legal certainty, clarity, and also simplicity. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can use an existing framework. The third aspect is our business management app. So we basically have an ERP, software to manage all of your contracts, all of your orders, your payments, your cash. But most interestingly, it actually manages the full cap table, so the equity table. Because different stakeholders can take a risk in your business and they get a piece of the equity, the app allows you to keep track of that very simply. So if you've ever gone on holiday with friends, you might have used an app called Splitwise or Tree Count that keeps track of who paid for the restaurant, who paid for the airplane ticket. And then at the end of holiday, the app calculates who's supposed to reimburse whom. So the idea is the same, right? To have a very simple business app where you can keep track of all your transactions. And at the end, the app automatically calculates the equity split. The app actually also generates the contracts automatically. So you can create and manage your business just with your smartphone in a couple of minutes without any need for paperwork or for expensive legal support. And then finally, the last key, the last piece of the puzzle is the partner network. So it's people like yourselves who work with startups and can provide, advisory support to them. And the members of the partner network, they understand how FlexUp works. They understand the economic model. They're familiar with the legal framework and the business app. And now you can help your clients set up their business, manage their business very effectively, right? Maybe in the future, the app will be so user-friendly that people can use it without the technical support of somebody who knows how to use the app. But businesses, they always need advisors, right? So especially when you're starting a business, you've never done it before. Even if FlexUp tries to make everything simpler, you still need help. You need advice, people who have experience, and that's where the partner network comes in, right? So I hope that you'll all join this network so that you can help other entrepreneurs and other advisors can maybe help you on your business. And the idea is that all the members of the partner network, they understand the FlexUp system and they just, agree to play along with these rules. And that makes all the business transactions very simple, very easy, very transparent. So I've kind of already covered everything, but I'll just go through the presentation quickly. So who is this for? Well, it's for all the startups and small and medium businesses, but also the freelancers, the partners, the investors, anybody who works with small businesses or medium businesses. I mean, theoretically, FlexUp can be used for any business, even large corporations. But these guys, very often, they have already all their infrastructure in place. So they will be very reluctant to change. Whereas the startups and the small business, very often, they don't have the right tools, or the ones that they don't have the right tools. So they would be more open to adopting the FlexUp. I call it a business operating system, right? Now, the main purpose is to encourage fair and effective collaboration. So simplicity and collaboration, alignment of interest. These are the main two levers to keep things simple and make sure that we don't fight. That's kind of the underlying objectives and mechanism. And the result is that we do more business, we generate more wealth, and importantly, this wealth is distributed more equitably. So the transparency and the fairness in the wealth distribution is also a key objective, because societies are more stable and more prosperous if the wealth is shared effectively. And one way to do that is with a remuneration system that includes everybody, all the stakeholders in the risk and profits of the business. So I already mentioned the four key pillars, right? The economic model, the legal framework, the business app, and the partner network. I don't want to spend too much time on these slides because I already mentioned a lot of these things, but basically, today building a business is hard. I think, Christian, you're going to see that. And I guess you also have seen it with the clients that you accompany to. So you have to set things up. It's costly, it's complex, you have many tools. For a lot of small business, this is a problem. And as an entrepreneur, I have experienced that sometimes I would spend 80% of my time on either administrative issues or negotiating some deals with some stakeholders, whether it's like an employee equity remuneration plan or a new shareholder agreement, or when I'm doing a funding round, there's a lot of documentation. It's just as a manager, as an owner, basically you spend all your time doing only that, and you don't spend any time on the business, right? So we want to make all of this extremely simple so that you don't have to waste your time and money doing that. And the solution is an integrated platform. So the word integrated is very important. So the economic model, the legal framework, the app, and the advisors, it just like works together, right? Like pieces of a puzzle or cogs in an engine, they're just designed to work together. It's a bit like when you're using the Apple environment, you have the hardware, you have the software, and you have the media content. They're all completely integrated. And that makes everything very simple. Another problem is that a lot of companies have very rigid contracts and fixed cost structure. So you hire someone, they're on a fixed salary, and if you're in France, there's basically no way to fire them, or it's very expensive to fire them. So if your business is going through a difficult period, well, you as the owner or as a shareholder, you're feeling all the pressure alone because you still have to pay all these employees and you're losing money, you're not paying yourself, and you're taking all the risks alone, which creates tension, because then you say, okay, I need to reduce my team size because I'm going to go bankrupt. So now you have to fire people and then they go on strike, and it just creates friction, right? And that's not because people are not nice. It's because the structure creates a conflict of interest that will ultimately lead to a conflict between people. So having a flexible cost structure, having flexible contracts, where all these fail-safe mechanisms are already built in the contract, providing the flexibility and the cost structure, also flexibility, that's very important. And that's one of the key drivers that we provide, flexibility. That's why we have flex in the name FlexUp. It's all about flexibility. And then the last point I already mentioned is misaligned incentives. So I used to manage a company with We had 800 shareholders and 85 ex-employees and founders and about 65 current employees. And all of them had different types of equity. And that created huge conflicts of interest. And then depending on the company valuation and when we were converting shares, some of the parties could be completely diluted. And that created a huge level of anxiety because some people, they were afraid that they would be diluted and basically treated unfairly. And for those team members that had this feeling, they would just quit the company. And the investors, they would not put more money in the company. So creating a system with a unified remuneration system, alignment of interest, this is one of the three great leverage that we use, right? So what is the FlexUp economic model? So let me just say a few words about this. So in the classic system, in the conventional system, you have a cash waterfall which discriminates based on the type of stakeholder. So if you're a company, you have to pay your employees first. In France, it's very important, employee protection. You need to pay employees first. Then you need to pay your suppliers, the state, the banks. And if there's any money left at the end of the year, all the profits belong to the shareholders. Now, of course, very often they will reinvest that profit into the business to grow the business. But from a legal point of view, they are the only ones to take all the risks and they're the only ones to take all the profits. Now, I'm not saying this is unfair. I'm just saying that this creates a lot of fragility in the business. And since doing business overall is a good idea and it's profitable, it means that these people make a lot of money and these people much less. And so that creates societies which are with a high level of income inequality that also creates potentially unrest. So we have a different approach. And our approach relies on the principle of non-discrimination, right? So there's no difference between an employee and an investor. Everybody's free to take more or less risk. So if I'm an employee and I'm paid 1,000 euros a month, I'm free to say that I'm going to invest my salary into the equity of the business. So instead of paying me cash, you just pay me 1,000 euros of credits every month. It's like an investment. And because I'm taking these risks, I will receive some tokens. And if I am an employee and I invest 1,000 euros, well, I will get the same credits and tokens than Gerlin, who's an investor, investing 1,000 euros. It's the same 1,000 euros, it's the same credits and tokens. Now I can say, look, I want to be paid 50% cash. So this is a firm level of priority, 25% flex and 25% credit. So anybody's free to split their remuneration along these different priority levels. Now that means that the company every month, it pays the firm component to everybody. And then if there's any cash left, it pays the flex component. And then at the end of the year, you go like, okay, we have now 100,000 euros of extra money. What do we do with this? Well, some of the money we keep to fund the company. Some of it we now use to repay the credits. And then some of it we're going to use to share the profits based on a number of tokens. So this is very much based on the concept of non-discrimination, whereas this one discriminates by the type of stakeholder. And as I said, we have an app that allows you to manage all this very simply. You can manage your contracts, your orders, you can see the equity table. And actually, I can just go, and you can go on our website, you can view the demo. Let's see if we can view the demo here. Oh, sorry, this is the demo video. You can watch the video. You can download this presentation from our website. Actually, you go to flexup.org. And if you go to the download section, you will be able to see this. So all of the demo, you see here, I'm on the demo.flexup.app. Can you see this the screen now, the FlexUp app?
All good now.
Yeah. So you can see here, I'm in the demo account, and I'm watching an example called Café Alphonse, where basically you have a couple of third parties. You have investors, you have the landlord, you have the manager, Alphonse. You have also various suppliers, various clients. You can keep track of the different contracts. So you can see that with the landlord, I have a monthly recurring rental contract for already 3 months. You can see all the details about this contract, and you can see all the orders. You can see that I paid the rent for January, February, March. The commitments are all firm commitments. That means that I needed to pay this. There was no flexibility. But if you go in the contract of Alphonse, you can see that the payment structure was he was being paid 75% preferred and 25% flex. So you can see that for the order of March, he was paid 25,000 francs in the flex priority and 75 in the preferred priority, right? Now, at the end of the day, what this gives you is a view of the equity table where you see that Alphonse, because there was enough cash in the company, he always received his credit, his flex. So the flex was always paid. So the flex was never converted to credits. But he did earn some tokens because he was taking some risk nevertheless, right? So he has now 40% of the tokens. And then the investor friend, he put some cash up front. And because of that initial investment, he got some tokens as well. And in the meantime, he has sold some of the credits to a bank. So the bank came later on, and they bought some of the credits that the investor friend. So the app also allows to do transfer of equity. I guess that's all I wanted to share right now. Do you have any questions at this stage, or should we get into the specific opportunities that you're looking at?
First of all, my question was, is this business app live or
Yeah, it's live. It's already
okay?
you can use it. We already have users. It's
Okay.
now, I
And
would say it's by
second,
invitation only. So if you want to use the app, you just book a call with us and we will set you up.
okay, and I want to understand the business model again. Like I couldn't understand these tokens thing specifically, and like is like for example, where is the stage? Like you have completely removed that state from it, and like how is it possible? How can we
Where is
or
the what?
any
I didn't understand that. Where is the state?
yeah, like first of all, if it would be great if you open the business models live.
Yes. So I will actually open because you asked me about how the tokens are calculated, right?
No, I just want to understand the business model. Like,
Okay. Yeah, let me share my screen again. This one, right? Is that the one
yes,
you want to see?
yes, exactly. So, where is the state? Like in the conventional system, there is the entity, then employees get paid, then the
Oh, the
state.
state. You mean where is the state? Sorry, I didn't understand that. Yeah, so
Yeah,
basically any stakeholder is free to to agree to this new FlexUp model. And those people that don't want to adopt the FlexUp model, they stay in the conventional system. So I guess that for the next couple of years, the state will not change its mind about how it's collecting taxes, right? So
right.
the state will probably be here, right? So
Yeah,
the state will say, well, I don't care about the FlexUp model. I want to be paid according to the current law. And I guess some suppliers may also say, I don't care about the FlexUp system. Some employees could also say, well, I have an employment contract, and my salary you need to pay every month no matter what, right? So a lot of people might decide that they don't want to play with this new system. But some employees could say, well, okay, why don't you pay me 80% of my salary. I want to be paid according to the FlexUp, to the traditional system, and then you can give me a 10% bonus in Flex and a 10% bonus in credits, right? So now suddenly they're taking a little bit of risk, not a lot, because 80% you still have to pay firm. But now now as a company, you have 20% of flexibility in your cost structure. So every month you're saving 10% of cash, and maybe you can use that to make some investments. And if for a few months the business is not going so well, you have this flexibility, and you say, well, sorry, this month I cannot pay you this 10% because the business is not so good. But that is not lost. This 10% that we didn't pay you this month, we're going to put it on your credit account, and as soon as we have money, we will reimburse you. And because you're accepting to take some risk, you're getting a share of the profits. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, but still, I need to understand. Like, I don't know if you are like, if you want to share all these details of the FlexUp model, or if
Yeah,
there
of
is
course. This
any
is fully
place,
transparent.
if they,
Actually, everything is completely open source. You can download everything from our website.
yeah, that's what that was. If there is any place where I can go and read it myself for my own understanding, like why FlexUp gets paid by any company for the services.
Yeah, so
If
first of all, let me just show you where our website is, flexup.org.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I know.
So here you will find uh, all the information about the FlexUp economic model,
Okay.
right? There are some examples, right, with the calculation and how we calculate the tokens and the risks. Very simple examples. Of course, all the contract templates that I mentioned, professional services agreement, investment contract, NDA, collaboration agreement, grouping agreement, advisory services, all of the standard contracts are available on our website. You can download them for free. We're continuously adding new templates. Also, if you need to localize a specific contract to your country and your specific legislation, we can do that too. So for example, for the investment contract, which is very sensitive, we have localized it to the United States regulation, because one of our first user, he was actually doing a funding round in the US, and so we had to create what we called additional conditions. Right? In the FlexUp contract framework, we always have general conditions which you can download. It's just a PDF file, and that is the same for anybody around the world, right? It's just a common legal basis. And then you have the special conditions where you can download a template and create your own contract. You just fill it in with your, the details of your specific transactions. So the objective is to make the contract very simple, because you just have to fill this in, and then you're done. That's it. It's a 3-page document. And actually, this is the template that you can download to review it, but the app will actually fill it in automatically. So it's automatically filled in by the app.
Okay.
Now you asked me
Yeah,
about the pricing, and then this is our pricing structure. So to use the app, it's free. If you're a small business, up to 5,000 euros a month. That's why I was saying that we do revenue-based invoicing. So based on how much you use, how much transactions you have, you have a free a plan up to 5,000 euros a month of transactions. But if you have a medium business, like you do 50,000 euros per month of transactions, the subscription is 50 euros per month, so it's quite affordable. And if you want to download the presentation, you can go here, and the presentation I just mentioned is this one. You can download it here. Yes? Does that answer your question, Q?
Yep. Thank you.
Christian, any thoughts, any questions?
Yeah, actually, like regarding this economic model, let's say the company needs to grow, and there is a current state, like there are investors that buy out those some share of that tokens. There are employees that also have had bought these shares of tokens, and all are distributed already. Let's say, how does it cover the scenario when new employee does join and also new investor could be onboarded?
Yes, very good question. So if you start a business and after a few months you want to hire an employee or you're looking for a co-founder, very often what you will do is you will say, I'm going to give you a few percentage of the equity, like I give you 1% or 5%. And this percentage very often is a fixed percentage in people's mind, right? So people are very focused on percentages. In the FlexUp system, we never talk about percentages, never. You can calculate the percentage, but we don't talk about the percentage. We talk about value.
But there is a pool still.
No, there's no pool. The equity is being issued all the time. There's no fixed amount. Okay. It's like the central bank. It's printing new banknotes all the time. You know, when you have a $1 bill, it's not like I have 0.001% of all the dollars. No, you have $1. And if the bank prints more dollars, then you still have $1. So in the way the FlexUp system works is, let's say you want to hire an employee and you say, you know, he wants 1,000 euros of salary. You say, I don't have 1,000 euros. It's too much. I will pay you 500 euros every month in cash. That's your fixed salary. I will pay you 250 in flex. So if we have money, we pay you. If we don't have money, it goes in your credit. And then I will pay you 250 in credit every month. So let's say that the token price is 10 euros per token. Now you're giving him 250 euros of credit. And let's say, and I can explain the details later, that we consider that the credit is a high risk. So it's 100% risk factor. So for 250 euros of credit, you get 250 euros of risk. And if the token price is 10 euros per token, that means I'm giving you 25 tokens. And every month, you give him an additional 25 tokens. And every month, you give him an additional 250 credit. So at the end of 1 year, he has 3,000 euros of credit, and he has 300 tokens. 25 times 12, 300 tokens. And now, if you want to know the percentage, you just look at all the tokens around, you can add them up. But it's not a fixed percentage. And I can show you again in the app, right? You see that this is the composition of the equity table in this Café Alphonse project. Now, if we looked at if we looked at 2023, when did they start? So in 2022, the business did not exist, right? So there were no tokens. And on the 1st of January, 2021, the only equity was Alphonse. So he had 23,000 francs. And you can check how many tokens that was, right? The first tokens were issued to Alphonse, you can see here. he received 1,600 tokens. Why? Because he took a remuneration of 50,000 francs, of which 37,000 was paid in 25,000 euro was paid with preferred. You can see that. That was the type of payment he chose. So the risk factor was about 40%. You see, 45%. And the token price was 10. So that's why he received 1,600 tokens. So the calculation is a bit complex. That's why the app is doing all the work for you. But what you can see is that if I go now on the 1st of February, now he received 2 months of tokens. And by that time, the investor has also put some money. So the cap table is evolving all the time. But what you're doing is you're adding the credits and you're adding the tokens. And then if you want to calculate the percentage, you can calculate it just by doing the ratio. But it's not a fixed percentage, right? So this is actually a very important part of the FlexUp system. We don't split the cake before we make it. It's more like we're adding bricks. And if I'm adding a brick, I have a brick. And the more bricks we add, the bigger the house, right?
That is why I came up with the comment last time. So it's basically on the value that is created. That's the amount of tokens that is issued based on conversion, like factor of the overall company value, right?
That's right. Then you can always calculate the percentage you have, but it's a dynamic. That's what we call dynamic equity allocation. Another very important factor for Q, it's a valuation. How do we value the company in the FlexUp system? So our philosophy is that as long as you don't have stable revenues, as long as you don't have solid projections, we don't do a future projection-based valuation. We only do a cost-based valuation. So the valuation of the company is the sum of the contributions that were invested in the company. But we also want to take into account the risk. So we say that, we don't know what the value of the company is, but we know how much risk we're taking by investing in a small startup. And I know that if I invest in a small startup, if I want to invest in Christian's startup, I don't really know what he's doing yet, but I know I want at least 25% return. That's for sure, because it's a risky business. So that's why we say that the token index goes up every year by 25%. So let's say for the first 2 years, the way we measure the value of the company is we take the sum of all the credits that were invested and the tokens that were issued. And the token price increases by 25% per year, but the value of the credit stays the same. And when the company makes profit, or they do an IPO, or they convert the tokens into shares, maybe a VC is coming after 2-3 years, and they say, okay, I'm going to give you 5 million euros, but I don't want to hear about this FlexUp system anymore. So people can convert their tokens into regular shares. And at that time, you can say, well, according to the FlexUp system, the cost-based valuation was now 2 million. But now we have like a great product with clients, we have good forecasts. So when we go and see the VC, we will try to negotiate a valuation of 5 million. So at that time, you can say, well, the token price goes from 20 euros to 100 euros. And that's a negotiation, right? I don't know what the token price is going to be. It depends on the negotiation with the investors. But in the early stage, what we want to do is not to have a good estimate of the value of the company, because we don't know. What we want to do is we want to create a system that is fair. that is simple, and that is transparent. So if I invest in Christian's business, I want to make sure that I invest on the same terms as him. Now you can think, okay, well, if I'm the founder and I'm issuing share based on a cost-based valuation, that means that the valuation at the beginning is very low, and I'm diluting myself very fast. That's why we always offer the possibility for the company to buy back the equity at a pre-agreed price. So I'm saying, Christian, if I invest in your business, you can buy me out at any time, as long as you pay me twice my investment plus 25% per year. That's it. So if tomorrow your business is a unicorn and is worth billions, as long as you buy me out at that price, I'm happy. So as the founder, you can keep the upside.
Makes sense.
So now you can use that system to hire new employees if you need to hire, or you want to have a co-founder that joins your team. And you say, well, I've been working for 2 years on this project, so I've invested already, I don't know, 200,000 euros. So you can come now and we can agree on a very good salary. Of course, I don't have the cash to pay you that salary, but every year, every month, I'm going to give you all these credits. So your nominal remuneration is very high. And as the longer you stay in the company, the bigger your equity stake, but you need to get it progressively, right? With a lot of the startups normally you get a lot of equity on the first day. You have a vesting, so if you leave, you lose it. But that equity doesn't change. It's like fixed. Whereas in the FlexUp system, you earn it progressively. So the more you work, the more you contribute, the more equity you get. So why don't we try now to look at a specific challenge or idea that you have and how we could make it work with the FlexUp system. Maybe Tsedenia, if you can speak now. I don't know if you're still in a noisy environment or in a.
Hi everyone.
Hello,
I hope
Tsedenia.
you
Nice
can.
to hear you.
It's very nice to be part of a group like this. I'm sorry that I couldn't speak earlier.
Great. So do you want to
Okay,
say a few
good.
words about yourself and your business?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Zedania Fasil. I'm a medical doctor and an entrepreneur in Ethiopia. I'm currently founding 2 startups, one working on e-learning and another one on school transportation. The e-learning platform is called Fargo Educations, and we're basically focusing on creating a smart generation. We're not actually focusing on pedagogy learning, but we're focusing on competency and digital skills. When we come to the transportation, we work on school transportation. So our platform is basically a web app. So it's a matchmaking platform that connects drivers and needy parents so their kids can be transported safely and in a very convenient way.
That's great. Okay, so are there any specific business ideas or challenges that you want to discuss that we can explore together, or you want me to to brainstorm openly? Because what you just mentioned gives me a lot of ideas.
I think we can brainstorm openly, I think.
Yeah, so we have a lot of businesses that we're talking to that basically they operate a little bit like you have a central platform, a central hub, and then you have a network of a lot of partners. For example, you might have hundreds of drivers in the youth transportation system, or in the competence development and training business, tutoring business, you might have a lot of tutors that sign up to your platform, and then you introduce them to potential businesses or individuals that need training.
Yeah, sure. That's
So
what we're basically doing.
exactly. So then you have basically three groups. You have the clients, you have the partners, and then you have your business and your team, right? And very often
Yeah.
what they typically do is the client pays 100 euros, you collect the 100 euros, and maybe you keep a 30% fee and you give 70 euros back to the partner.
Yeah.
I'm not saying these are your numbers, I'm just giving, generic numbers, right?
Yeah,
Now,
you're
your
right.
challenge is to make enough cash to grow your business,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you want to provide a very, let's say, generous deal to your partners so you can attract, retain, and motivate your partners.
Yeah.
And that can be a difficult equation because the more fee you keep, the more cash you have to grow your business, but less you leave to the partner, and that can discourage them. Now, FlexUp provides a very interesting solution, which is quite unique, actually. You're saying, I'm going to collect 100 euros from the client. I keep 30 because that's my commission. That's basically the value of the service I provide. I'm going to keep 30. That's my fee. But I want you to be a partner. I want you to help us grow this business. So out of the 70 that you earn, that is your value, I would like you to reinvest 20 in my business. So the benefit is that you're keeping 50 instead of 30 because they're investing
Yeah,
20.
I understand.
So you have more cash to grow your business. That's the benefit for you. And the benefit for them is that they're investing 20. They're not losing it. They're investing it. So as your business grows, eventually they will get this money back plus a share of the profit. So that allows you to propose a very generous deal to your partners in a way that still allows you to keep enough cash to grow your business. And now, because they're associates, they have skin in the game, they're in the same boat as you. They need to make sure that your business succeeds. Otherwise, the investment they made is lost. So now they have a strong interest to help you find clients, to help you open doors to potential large corporations or schools or government or whatever. They have an interest to help you grow your business.
Yeah. This is interesting, but I don't know if this business model works in our setup. I'm not sure.
What could be
Have
the
you guys
challenges? What
tested
could be the
it?
problems that you see?
So I think from what you said, what I understand is as a business owners, we're basically asking our partners or the drivers or the tutors to invest from the money they're getting, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, I think that's where the problem is going to be. But since it's not tested, I can't say for sure. But I think it's going to have some bumpy roads.
So
From
where is the problem? Is it because they need the money or because you think there's an administrative hurdle?
No, it's not an administrative hurdle, but I don't think they're going to agree to invest from the money they're getting. Because even now, every business has its challenge, and one of the biggest challenge that we're facing with our drivers is that they always complain that they're not getting enough amount of money. Because currently transportation is a big problem currently due to crowded roads and fuel price going up and down. So they usually complain about the money they're getting. So I think they will complain about the investment. Maybe not all of them, but I'm sure most of them will complain about the investment.
Yeah. So of course, people need to have enough money to cover their costs, right? Their living costs, their fuel costs, and so on. And
Yeah.
the FlexUp approach doesn't necessarily mean you give them less cash. Maybe it's the other way around. You give them a bonus. You say, well, currently I'm giving you 70, and now I'm going to give you 75, but those extra 5, it's an investment, it's a bonus. So you can also offer that system without reducing the amount of cash they take home, right? That's the first idea that I want to suggest. The other idea is that when people complain that they want more money, sometimes it's because they need the money. Sometimes it's because they feel that this is not fair. They're not being treated fairly. And I know that we have a lot of, I spend a lot of time talking to Uber driver or taxi drivers in Europe, and they always complain that they're paying too much fee. I mean, they still make a lot of money at the end of the month, right? But they say, well, it's unfair. Yeah. They take 30%, and the only thing they do is the app, and I'm driving all night, and I have to give them away 30%. So in some cases, it's not so much that they need the money, is that they feel that the current deal they have is not fair. And I know that some of the platforms like yours, they take 50%. Like if you're trying to sell a software app on the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store or some other distributor, the amount of fee you have to pay is really high, and you just feel it's not fair, right? And that could be one of the obstacles to this idea. It's so I think there's only one way to find out, is to try, right? And then every situation, every country, and every individual will be in a different situation. So you can try it out. And I would be happy to sit down and try to design an offer. And you can offer it on a voluntary basis. You can say, look, we have a new deal for the drivers. Today, we're paying you 70%. And now we want to offer a system where we pay you, instead of 70%, we pay you 60% cash plus 20% bonus. So at the end, you get 80%. But that means that you're investing part of your remuneration. There's only one way to find out, is to try. That's my experience.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's worth trying.
Now, maybe there's a very different dynamic between the drivers and the tutors. The drivers, they have costs. They have to pay the fuel. And it's a one shot. You don't have regularity in the deal. Whereas the tutors, it's only service, so maybe they have a lot of time. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, they do have costs. I mean, the teachers and the tutors working with us, and one cost from their side is internet cost and device. And it's a platform, so the tutoring and teaching is conducted online. So for them to teach from their setup or from home or office, they're gonna need some kind of device, and
is that a fixed cost? Is that a fixed cost, or is that a variable cost per hour of tutor provided?
It depends on the tutor. Some tutors want 300, some want 500. So it's not a fixed; it's a flexible pay, but it depends.
My question was, the tutor, when you say they have costs, do they have a fixed monthly cost? Like, I need to buy an internet connection and I need to buy a computer, so I have a fixed cost?
No.
Or do they have to pay the internet by minute?
No. Oh, no, that depends. So I think it's not fixed. It's not fixed.
Right. Okay. Well, it depends, right? Because in my case, I have a fixed monthly subscription for my internet connection. Doesn't matter how much I use it. So. So I of course, I've had this discussion many times with some consultants, and I say, why don't, instead of charging 1,000 euros cash, why don't you charge your clients 700 cash and 300 credit? And they say, well, because I need money to live. And I say, yeah, but how many days per month are you charging your clients? Are you currently are you full? Like, is your schedule full, or you're only working 50% of the time and the other 50% you're trying to find clients? So if you're already working all day, and that could be the case of the driver is working all day. He doesn't have the capacity to work more. And every hour he works, he has to buy fuel and burn it. So his capacity to take a flexible remuneration system, very little. He doesn't have any margin. He doesn't have any room to maneuver. Whereas potentially a tutor, is only working 50% of his time, and the other 50% he's not working, or he's doing another job that has a lower revenue, and he has a fixed cost. So you say, well, instead of working, 50 hours a month, and I'm paying you 70, you can work 100 hours a month, and I pay you 60. So you're earning a little bit of cash less every hour, but you can work 2 times more. So your overall monthly cash, take-home cash is higher. So that's also a driver, okay? So you need to see, there's many parameters, and sometimes you can find a new deal that is much more interesting for them, much more interesting for you, without impacting their, the bottom line of how much money they need at the end of the month.
Yeah, sure. I think it's something we can try. You're right.
Yeah, well, I would very happy to spend some time with you, Nico and Gerline, to brainstorm and try to think about a potential proposal that you can put on the table.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, any other idea or opportunities you want to discuss or questions you might have? Christian, Q, Nico, Gerline? Anything new or anything interesting that you heard this session?
I feel like the entire concept is like pretty new, and they need to process it, like especially the part that eventually the customers could become at some point investors. That's kind of
Yeah.
wow.
So now let's talk about that, right? And just to clarify, so your product, you're developing a tool that you plan to sell to large corporations?
Not necessarily large, because they have the resources to build on their own. But eventually, some companies that lack resources to build their own solution on that, like growing companies, and needs to have this precision on scale for the events that they are measuring, based on the metrics.
Is it a custom product that you're developing for them, or you have a core technology?
It's a core, yeah, exactly.
And then you have some additional implementation cost, or they just take your license?
The core is on a license, but the custom development, it will be like on a different contract. True. So because this is why I chose this model to have to be more on premise, because it offers the flexibility as well, like to release like any kind of incoming feature requests, compared to the cloud, which they are quite limited in that purpose.
Okay, if you allow me, I want to brainstorm a little bit about that specific situation and use case, because it's very different from the one that Sedenia is facing, but it's one that I'm very familiar with because we have a lot of partners that have exactly this situation. So you're developing a core technology where you have to invest a lot of money to develop the core product.
Yeah.
And then you have some implementation, adaptation costs for each client. Now, you can say, well, if I spend one day in your office to implement it, adapt it, then this is my daily rate. This is a very easy commercial proposal. But let's say you have to spend 6 months or 1 year developing the core technology, and that costs you 100,000 euros. You cannot ask your first client to pay for that.
Sure, yeah.
You can say, well, I estimate that I'm going to sell it to 100 clients, so 100,000 euros of investment for 1,000 clients, for 100 clients, that means that everyone pays 1,000 euros. But maybe it's going to take you 5 years to get those 1,000 clients, and you need the money now, right? Yeah. So one thing, and actually we have a current discussion exactly on that with some radio technology, okay, where you're saying to your first clients, okay, the target price for the license is 1,000 euros. Let's assume it's a one shot, not a yearly license. Let's just make a very simple example.
Yeah.
The license is 1,000 euros, but I need cash to finish the development or to continue adding new features. And in the next 2 years, I expect to sell not 1,000 licenses, but only 200. So I would like you to pay my license not 1,000 euros, but 5,000 euros. And of this, 4,000 is an investment. So basically, from a commercial point of view, it's like I give you a 4,000 euro rebate on the invoice, which is going to be paid using the FlexUp credit system. So you still have credits and tokens from a economic point of view, but from paper, it's just a commercial invoice with a commercial rebate. So they don't actually have shares in your company. Because a lot of clients, they say, look, I'm happy to pay 5,000 euro for a product because it's still in development stage. And it's basically part of my R&D expense. I have a budget for R&D, so I'm happy to pay that. But there's no way I can invest in a company because then I need to go to my CFO and we need board approval. It's just impossible from an internal governance point of view, right? So this is actually a solution that could be very interesting. You go and see your first clients and say, I would like you to be my strategic partner. You help me develop this technology. You help me implement it with the first set of 5, 10, 20 clients. And because you help me in the journey, now you will get a piece of the profit. So as soon as my business grows, I can pay you back this extra 4,000 that you paid me upfront. Plus, you're an associate. You get a piece of the profits. And either I buy you out at some stage, so you get a profit upside, or maybe you stay in the company. And when I do an IPO or we do a funding round, then you can convert your tokens into shares. But sometimes you don't want your clients to be shareholders for a lot of administrative reasons. So you say, no, you just keep your tokens. So you're not a shareholder. You cannot vote at the assembly from a formal point of view, but you still get a piece of the profit.
Yeah, that makes the most sense. I agree.
Yeah, and it's very easy to implement. It's just a few minutes. You create the account, put all the orders. We actually are developing a specific case study to illustrate that. And as soon as it's published, we'll send you the link so you can see the example.
Yes, please. Yes, please. I will take a look on it and study it more carefully. That would be really great.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a very good, very interesting example you gave. Q, are there any other examples that you might want to share, like some of your clients that we're working with that are facing issues regarding valuation or negotiation with investors, where you think FlexUp could be interesting potentially? Okay, maybe we missed Q.
Nothing comes to my mind.
Sorry?
Nothing comes to my mind. Nothing else comes to my mind.
All right, great. Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining this call. Oh, actually, here to leave. Yes. So the question was, is the app live? Yes, the app is live, absolutely.
Yeah.
And actually, you can test it. You don't need to. It's free. You can just ask, and you can just go on the sandbox. It's called sandbox.flexup.app. You can create an account. You can play around, or you can go into demo.flexup.app. There's a lot of case studies. You can explore them very freely. Let me just show you around, and then we can end this call. So I'll share my screen. Sorry. So if you go on the flexup.org, this is our website. You can see here that there's links to either explore some demo in the demo environment, or to test your own examples in the sandbox. So you will end up in the sandbox here, where you can create an account and just play around. Or you can go and see the case studies. And every case study, for example, Café Alphonse is the one we looked at. There's a little summary, and these are the login details. Or you can actually read the full story in our blog. This is a real case, by the way. And you can see exactly how it works, right? So if you want to learn more about FlexUp, there's plenty of resources.
By the way, I have a question about how this model stimulates the growth, like
So the
contributing.
main driver for growth is that people work together effectively.
Yeah.
So instead of spending our time fighting, now we're working together, we're collaborating. This is the main driver. The other driver is that you can bootstrap your company. So you can hire people and work with partners even before you are ready to raise funds. So it's a simpler way to attract people and basically get resources. Because raising funds from VCs can be very difficult. The VCs, they only look at maybe 5% of the requests that they see, and the investment cycle can take many months, and you cannot go and see the VC if you don't already have a product and clients and revenues and so on. So for very early stage companies, it's very hard to start. With FlexUp, you can start by just finding a deal with your partners, your employees, your founders, and it's a very simple way to pay them with equity, which is what I'm doing now, actually. I'm growing FlexUp by hiring people who believe in the project and are willing to invest with me together in this business. And the third leverage is simplicity. Instead of spending your time negotiating contracts, you just download the template, the standard contract from the FlexUp app. So these drivers really is going to change your life. And now you can focus on your business. You can grow your business instead of struggling to raise funds and negotiating complex contracts with your lawyers.
You can see that, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, I had a story when I tried to attract co-founders. And actually, yeah, this was kind of tricky, the trickiest part, like what would be the incentive to for the co-founders to join, because I didn't want to work with like to build with friends or closer people, but someone from the network that will have the incentive to build all together, like side by side, but still to provide that incentive. And that, for me, it was kind of a tricky part on how to estimate, on how to define it in the proper way so that that person will
Yes, that is the most difficult thing, is how the founders can agree on how they split the equity.
yeah.
Now, if 3 people are starting at the same time and they have the same profile, they can say, oh, we're going to do 1/3 each,
Yeah.
which is very easy to decide, but it leaves a lot of problem because 6 months later, maybe one person left and the other guy is not working much and the third guy is doing all the work. So he's going to say, this is not fair. I want to renegotiate. And then you have a fight. But if you are already the founder and you've already been working for several months or years and you want to have a new founder coming in, that's very difficult because then you're not in a symmetrical situation. You're like, hey, I've been working for 2 years. You just joined. Don't ask for 50% of the equity. And then the guy says, well, if you only give me 5%, it's not enough to make me motivated. So either way, somebody's not going to be happy, right? So that's why I think the FlexUp approach is better, because you value the actual work that you're bringing every month and the real contribution. And it's the same system for everybody. You can say, well, I'm going to use the same system for me and for you. It's just that I've been working for 2 years. So I've been earning €1,000 every year for 2 years. That's like 24,000 euros. Now you can earn the same as me, except you're starting from zero, but maybe in a few years' time, we're going to be almost the same because the difference was only in the original period, but now you're catching up, right? So the benefit is that it's very simple and it feels fair. That's kind of a big difference. So you don't have to fight about it.
Totally, yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much, Fabrizio,
much
for sharing so much information.
It was great to have you all. I wish you good luck with your business, and I'll send you a small summary of our discussion. I'll publish it online, and I look forward to discussing your specific business opportunities more in detail later on a one-to-one calls. Okay? Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Have a great one.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
And just for those
Thank
who
you
are
so
watching this on
much.
YouTube, we're doing this every week. Every second week is online. Every second week is in Paris, in Station F. I look forward to meeting you. Bye-bye.
Bye.